author, broker, speaker, and the 2022 Missouri Realtors President. Please welcome to the stage, John Mayfield.
I rocked when I was young, so. All right. At the age of 18, you're 64 years old. And I still practice real estate. And 2 weeks ago, one of my buyer clients calls me and says, John, we found the perfect home. Now, they do not have to sell anything. They're very qualified. She's all excited because this is 3 doors down from her best friend. She says, by the way, it's with a for sale by owner. Now, I've been doing this for 46 years, but I gotta be honest with you, I still get queasy in for sale by owner conversations, and I've really made my career off of calling on for sale by owners, farming areas, getting out and prospecting. And so I called the for sale by owner up, introduced myself, acknowledged that I'm a real estate broker. We have a conversation, and immediately out of her mouth, in a very mean, gruff tone, she said, yeah, you can show my house, but I'm not paying you a commission. See, we have all of these new conversations going on. And in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to share with you some strategies for these new conversations that I promise can double or triple your income. And it's scientifically proven. So let's get started. How do you stand out? And what do we do with these new conversations? Because they're out there. And so there's this game plan that I want to share with you today. And again, this is scientifically proven. I have 46 years in the trenches of coaching and managing and helping hundreds of real estate agents and brokers. And what I'm going to share with you today really works. And it goes right along with what Enos just shared with us a moment ago. And so conversations are going to be out there. And my talk's on new conversations, and there's a lot of new things going on out there. I mean, if you're on any Facebook group, or if you go on social media, you hear all of these things on the hub. I heard one the other day where an agent said, I need help because I had a listing I was going to get, and the other agent said, if you list with me, you won't have to pay a buyer's agent a commission. Help, what should I do? Unfortunately, we're going to have a lot of new conversations. We already are. We've heard today and seen today, the news media is not helping us much, are they? So we need to have a lot of these conversations, and I want you to know that as conversations come up, continue to ask about them. Now, I put together a free ebook download for you at the very end. I'm not asking for your email or name. It's free. I'm going to give you the website to go for that. And you can look at that. It's evergreen. So I'm going to be adding video explanations on how I might handle that question. But there are probably 70 or 100 different scenarios I put together for you, and it's free, and I'll show you how to get that at the very end. So what's the game plan? That's what you probably want to know, right? And there is a game plan. And if you don't have a game plan, you're setting yourself up for failure. You've got to have a game plan for these new conversations and what's going on. Is it top secret? No. It's 3 words. You've heard it today, and you know about it. People want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. It's that simple. But why is it some real estate agents, the majority, don't even make it past 2 years of the business? And if you're new here, don't get discouraged. I have a path for you and a plan to help you overcome this. But there are some keys that you and I need to practice and use if we want to do this. There is a blueprint. Tony Robbins says if you want to be a millionaire, find a millionaire and follow what they're doing. Jim Rohn always said that. Don't follow somebody who hasn't made any money. Follow somebody who's successful. And there is a recipe. And so here's the first ingredient of the recipe. Take control of the conversation. That's what we have to do. Now, I'm putting together some sales meetings for brokers. I've been doing that for a while. And the Miami Realtors, because Teresa and her staff, and she said that today, I know her and I've known her for a long time. She does wake up at night thinking about you and how she can help you. So I'm providing sales meetings for brokers and managers. I give you a facilitator's guide, questions to ask. And I did a sales meeting on all of this new NAR stuff, which really talks about the categories of salespeople. And it's from a book called The Challenger Sale. And believe it or not, everyone in this room, including myself, fall into one of these 5 categories. And there's nothing wrong with any category. You could be a problem solver, a hard worker. See, sometimes I fall in that hard worker. I think because I work hard, I'm going to make more money. And then you could be the relationship builder. But what they found in this book is that the challengers actually make more money. And what they try to do in this book, and what I try to do in this sales meeting, which if you're a broker or manager out there, tell them about it. It's on the Miami website. Can actually use this and help you integrate some of the challenger traits into your business. So you have to take the lead. Challengers do lots of really cool things. They take the lead. They're very empathetic. They try to solve problems too, but they try to reframe things for you to look at it in a different way. So how do we do that when we only have a few seconds to make an impact? Princeton University did a study, and they said we only have 1/10 of a second for a stranger to make a decision. Some of you made a decision about me in the first 4 to 7 seconds. We only have a short period of time to make that great impression. Malcolm Gladwell, in his book Blink, talks about thin slicing, and people make decisions with just little bits of information. So how do we do it? It's a very quick moment of time, isn't it? That's 7 seconds right there. And somebody's made a decision about you and whether they are going to like you or not like you. So how do we do this? What should I do? That's a good question, isn't it? And there's a guy by the name of Jordan Belfort who was the Wolf of Wall Street. Here's what Jordan says, because he trained his salespeople to really learn to take control of the conversation. He said, number 1, you have to be sharp as a tack. Sharp as a tack. Number 2, he says you have to be enthusiastic as hell. Now, he says, and I'm put that up there for fun, not that kind of enthusiasm, okay? That's not what he's talking about. But we have to be enthusiastic, and we have to be the expert. Really, we have to. So how do we do this? We only have this short amount of time. Well, you heard this today as well. We have to ask the right questions, right? Ask the right questions. But here's what's really important. Tonality. You've got to use the right tone. Very, very important. Tone is so big, and sometimes we put the emphasis on the words. The words only make up 7% of the communication process. And so we've thrown out all this data and these words, but it's really about tonality. It's really about body language. And if you're not using body language and tonality, you're just going to be losing transactions. I've really thought about this a lot, and I've seen so many agents come and go, and I'm like, why couldn't they make it? They were so fired up in real estate school, but yet I don't think they knew how to build rapport with the customer. And that is so huge. How do we build rapport? Your voice, your facial expressions, your body language. All of those things play a huge role. Now, I make no money off BombBomb. I think it's a great product. I've tried probably every video email system that's out there. But I'm telling you what, you should read the emails I get back from clients and customers. Because I could go shoot a BombBomb video and I can use the right tone or body language. And this is me explaining to one of my students in my real estate school, because today I run an online real estate school in 10 states as well. And I was trying to explain to him that I'm just following the real estate commission's rules. And I wanted him to know that. And he wrote me back the nicest, kindest email. But I'm telling you what, his first email was pretty rough and gruff to me. Now, I'm the same way. I write these big, long emails, and then I look at it and I say, really? Do I need to have that much email in there? And so Craig and others did such a great job with AI. I use AI to say, could you write this email message for me and make it a little different and a little nicer? And by the way, here's a tip. Tell it to write at a 5th grade level, because that's where people connect with you. And so I'll tell ChatGPT, could you rewrite this email for me and make it a little more friendly or a little something different? And so that's, one way you can do that. But these are all pieces to the puzzle of building what? Building rapport. It really is. Ennis talked a minute ago about listening. So important. And you have to listen and then turn around, and I love what she said, respond with, that's a great question. Well, the lady said to me, you could show my house, but I'm not paying you a commission. I paused, because pause is effective, and I said, I'm so glad you brought that up. You see, the right questions and the right way to respond can help you with those transactions. Dale Carnegie says you can win more friends in 2 months than you can in 2 years by trying to get them, by you showing you're interested in them, than you trying to get them interested in you. Larry Kindell, Ninja Selling. I don't know if you've read that book. Wonderful book. Larry says use the Ford principle. Ask them about family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Such a big deal. But let's dive deeper, because you have to tell stories. Stories are so important in a conversation. And you have stories. People in your office have stories. And you can use those stories in today's new conversations. And I'll give you a good example. I have a big farm. I do a lot of farmland, huge farm. This is going back a number of years. Had some buyers. They wanted to buy it. It was a cash deal. This thing would be well over $1 million plus. And then I'm from Southeast Missouri. So back in the early 90s, this was a big deal. I couldn't get the farmer to come down on the price. I couldn't get them to come up much. They wanted to try one more offer. We met at the Dairy Queen on I-55, right at the St. Genevieve exit. And if you go by there, the Dairy Queen's still there, okay? And by the way, there was a day when we used to write contracts on the hood of our car or at the Dairy Queen. So I meet them there, and I said, it's a cash deal, right? And they said, yeah, we're paying cash. I said, why don't you write me a check for the sales price? Well, they looked at each other like, is this guy lost his marbles? I said, now, in Missouri, we have 10 banking days before we have to deposit the check. But I think that might be good if you just wrote out the sales price for the earnest money. He wrote it out and gave it to me. I go out to the farmer. He's on the tractor. Now, if you have never worked with farmers on real estate sales, when they're on the tractor, they don't like to come in unless it's to eat or they're done, okay? And I could tell he wasn't real happy. He comes in, we sit at the kitchen, his wife makes coffee, and he says, "John," as he's wiping the sweat off of his brow, and he's got the bib overalls on, "I told you, I'm not taking any less." I said, "I know, but you understand, I have to present every written offer." So I gave him a contract, he's looking at it, and I slid that check across the table. I said, "Oh, by the way, they went ahead and wrote me a check for the sales price." There was dead silence. He said, "Where do I sign?" Now, I can tell that story to a buyer about what value I can bring to them. I'm telling you what, when we had multiple offer situations, I was getting deals accepted because people were giving me $75,000, $100,000, writing the check out for the full sales price. You see, that's a story you can share. But here's what's interesting about stories. They release oxytocin, which is called the bonding hormone or the trust hormone. Now, I couldn't tell this in Missouri, but this is Miami, right? So I can tell you all, it's the same hormone that's released during sexual activity. I'm not kidding you. Storytelling the right way arouses people in a good way. It builds empathy, it bonds, and it really helps you to move farther. The other interesting thing is we get wrapped up in thinking that data sells when it's really stories that sell. So I always like to say data tells and story sells. But here's one other item about the brain. 400 billion bits of information it processes every second. That's billion with a B. But we can only process, or we only take note of 2,000 bits of information. So if you are not engaging the other person, they tune you out and they don't know exactly what you're saying. Now, stories bond, it's the connection, it's the external link, but you also have to have empathy. Empathy is so important. It builds long-lasting relationships. Send a card or a note to someone. It's huge. And be sincere and genuine about it. Now, I always love to end with a story, and I know I'm out of time, but I just try to wrap this up very quickly. That's me when we owned a blueberry and blackberry farm. And when we owned this farm, people came from all over, picked blueberries and blackberries. We built our green home, but unfortunately I got caught up in a late spring freeze. I'd sold my company, went to work for a bank, and my wife and I pretty much lost everything. And if you ever watch Gunsmoke, when Matt Dillon would come out and ask him, "Where are you going?" "We're moving to Colorado." My wife and I left the area. But I wanted to tell you, and I only have about 15 seconds if the music will let me tell this. I ended up speaking at a conference, met a guy from France. He brought me to Nice to speak, and then he asked my wife and I to come there and live. And I'm not telling you that story to brag, but I want you to know, and you've heard this today, my friend said, "You know what I like about you? You give." This is what Michael was talking about earlier today. You give, and everybody else wants to take. Now, I still go back over there 16 years later. I was just there a month and a half ago, and I was in a $3 million apartment that we have right across from this picture. But I want you to know changes are coming. You've got a great association. They are putting resources and information for you. I think we should give them a round of applause because they really execute. It may seem challenging, but remember, people want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. Take control, tone, body language, ask the right questions, listen with empathy, tell your story, and those ingredients will help you make more money next year. Thank you so much. And by the way, 5-minutes. It's going to be updated periodically, but mark that. It looks great on a mobile phone. You'll have it at your fingertips.
Where's the free book?
5-minutes. The number 5-minutes.
All right, thank you so much, John. We appreciate it.